Hey guys, it's Fallon.
And Bobby!
So we're on our way to the gym right now. We're going to film an instructional video this week.
Now we're going to show a lot of cool things, secret techniques that no one has ever seen before.
Ooh, locked in the vault.
Make anyone into
in
a
his
savage.
brain. Yeah, so we'll see what we have in the works for you soon. Hey guys, we're the Fratones. Today we're going to be showing you the triangle.
All right, guys, let's get to it. 1, 2, 3, hooks! Yeah! All right, so first we're just going to do a very basic triangle from the closed guard, and then I'll break it down for you guys step by step, and at the end of the video we'll have a bunch of different variations for you guys that are more advanced and like that. So this is just a basic triangle where I go nice deep grip in the collar, same side hand on my opponent's wrist, and we're just going to push the wrist to the belly button, getting to a one arm in, one arm out position, and then finishing the triangle like so. So that's just basically what a basic triangle looks like. But when we're here and we're in the closed guard, the most important thing to understand if you're going to be finishing a triangle is you have to be able to control your opponent's posture, okay? If I can't control his posture, I'm never going to be able to get a triangle. So, for instance, if Fallon's posture is straight up and down, and if I just try to throw a triangle from here, you're going to see that your legs are never going to be long enough. Even if she blocks it or not, it doesn't matter. Even if she just sits there, you see how I'm not able to connect my ankles, okay? So what I need to do is I need to use that collar grip to pull her posture down. The more that I can break someone's posture and pull them from a 90-degree angle to like a 45-degree angle, that's going to make the length of my leg a lot longer and a lot easier for me to contain my opponent. So that's why it's very important that we open up the lapel here. I sit up and I'm going to try to grab the tag of my opponent's gi with a cross grip and my palm is facing up. So now that I have this grip, I can use my arm to control the posture, because what this does is it controls her neck, and if I control the head, I control the body. Wherever your head goes, your body must follow. So I'm using this grip to kind of pull her head down. But I'm not just gonna use my arm to pull them down. The whole purpose of closed guard is that we also have our legs as well. So when I pull with my arm, I'm also gonna pull with my knees. I'm trying to bring my knees to my chest, and that's gonna make you very, very strong from this position, okay? I don't wanna pull them down so much that I'm jamming myself and I make it hard for me to stuff the arm in and go for the triangle. That's why I believe you just wanna pull them down to about 45 degrees, just enough to get your leg up and over the shoulder. So now with my free hand, I'm going to grab my opponent's wrist like so, thumb on one side, 4 fingers on the other. I don't want to grab the sleeve moves around. I want to grab the actual bone of the arm, okay? So once I grab the bone of the arm, I'm going to push my opponent's palm right to their belly button or right to their chest. The reason I do this is because it's going to trap the arm on that side, and it's going to allow me to open up my guard and throw my leg up and over my opponent's shoulder. So once I do that, you'll see that we're in a position where we have one arm on the inside and one arm on the outside. So since we have this position, we're now in a choking position, okay? The mechanics of the triangle are like this. The back of my kneecap is gonna choke one side of her artery, and her shoulder is gonna choke the other side of the artery. So when I'm here in this position, I need to cross this arm. If I don't cross this arm, there's gonna be an open blood flow on this side, and they're gonna be able to breathe. This is a blood choke, it's not an air choke. A lot of people think the triangle is an air choke. It's actually a blood choke. So I'm gonna cross this arm. The way that I cross this arm is I need to get a cross grip on the sleeve. I'm gonna go with one hand here behind the tricep. So I have a 2-on-1. In most scenarios, if you have 2 arms on your opponent's one arm, you should always be a little stronger than they are, so it's a little easier. But one tip that I like to use is I always will lift my hips when I cross this arm. If I keep my butt on the floor, they're gonna be able to fight me with more muscle groups. Here she can use her bicep, her tricep, her shoulder, and her back to defend. But if I pop my hips up like this, do you see how it strains out her arm? So now she can only fight me with the shoulder. And the shoulder is gonna be the weakest muscle group in the arm, so it's gonna be very easy for my 2 arms to cross her arm all the way to the other side of my stomach. So we lift our hips and we cross the arm. Once I'm here, I keep the grip here on my opponent's sleeve just so she can't pull the arm back. It makes it a little more difficult. And I'm also going to sit up and I want to like pinch my knees. The reason I do this is because I want to wall off the back of her tricep with my torso and my chest. If I just sit here, I'm lazy, and she pulls her arm back, right? That's a battle that we're going to keep losing. So when I cross the arm, if I just do a little crunch like this, try to pull the arm back, you see how it gets stuck? Her elbow and tricep is going to get stuck on my stomach. So like you can see her and grab your knees and they're not going anywhere. So I can rest for a very long period of time, and they're gonna have to fight a lot harder than I am, okay? So once I'm here, I've crossed the arm, I've crunched, I've made sure she can't get her arm back. I'm gonna take my right hand, I'm gonna grab my left shin, okay? It's always gonna be the shin that's over my opponent's shoulder. So I'm gonna grab, and I call this putting a roof over my opponent's head. Because once I grab my shin, that's gonna allow me to open up my guard. I never do this. I never open my guard and then try to grab my shin, because see, that puts a hole in the roof. She's just gonna posture up and escape. So this lock is what's keeping her posture broken. So I need to grab my shin first, so even if I open up my guard and she tries to posture, she's still gonna be stuck, okay? So I say it's like, you know, a roof, because no one wants a leaky roof, right? You gotta make sure you cover up the roof. You cannot have a hole in your roof, not good for your house, right? So I'm gonna grab my shin, open my guard, and I'm gonna plant this foot right here on my opponent's hip. The reason I plant my foot here on the hip is so I can push off and create an angle. The more parallel I stay to my opponent, the harder it's gonna be for me to lock my legs when I get a triangle, right? So what I wanna do is when I push off of this hip, I'm twisting my body as much as I can. I'm gonna try to bring my head and my ear to the opposite side hip. When I do this, it creates an angle, and that angle allows me to take my outside foot and circle my kneecap over the top of my ankle. That's what gives you the lock of the triangle, right? So depending on your flexibility, some people can lock it right away. If you can't, what I do is I push the hip, then I'll put my foot on the floor and I'll start hip escaping. The more you hip escape, the better the lock of your triangle is gonna be. You cannot hip escape too many times. The more that I hip escape, the better off I am. So my goal is I'm trying to get so much to the side that I'm able to look down my shin like the side of a gun. If I can see my knee, my shin, and my toes all in alignment, I know I'm in a good position to start locking my triangle. So I'm looking down my shin like the side of a gun. My outside foot is going to circle, and I'm going to lock this directly behind my kneecap. Once I have this locked behind my kneecap, I'm ready to finish, but I'm always gonna make sure I point my toes up to the ceiling. I never wanna flex my foot like this and then put all the weight on my toes, because you're gonna break your ankle. I always go to the ankle, and I'm bringing my toes up to lock everything in nice and tight. To finish a triangle, there are 4 points of pressure. Come this way. When you do a triangle, back up a little, right? So we're here. There's always gonna be 4 points of pressure to finish your triangle, okay? Back up a little more. So just what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pinch my knees, I'm gonna shoot my hips, I'm gonna pull down on my opponent's head. So what I'm doing is I'm stopping the blood flow from all the angles. I don't just do 1 point of pressure, I have to do 4 points of pressure. So once this is locked, I pinch my knees, I pretend I'm like folding a storybook with my thighs, or like using that thigh master thing. Both hands go to the back of my opponent's head. I pull down and I lift my hips. So as I lift my hips, I pull down the head and I pinch my knees. The triangle is very, very, very tight. Okay, so always remember 4 points of pressure, and I take my time when I do a triangle. Always damage over time. You don't wanna just go as hard as you can and then you get tired and you have to let go. You know, I always use this rule of I squeeze with 50% of my pressure, I count to 10, then I do 75% of my pressure, I do another 10, I do 100% of my pressure, and I count to 10. That way I choke them over 30 seconds as opposed to just choking them for 10 seconds, okay? So here's your basic triangle. Let me show it to you one more time, a little quicker now. All I'm doing is I'm here, we're closed guard. First and most important thing is break your opponent's posture. I open the collar, I grab deep behind my opponent's neck, and I have a grip on the sleeve. So I have a collar grip and a wrist grip. I pull with my knees, I pull with my hand, I break that posture down to 45 degrees. I punch her palm to her belly button so this arm is trapped and locked so she can't open it. I'm gonna open up my guard, I lift my hips, and I'm going to lock my guard again over my opponent's shoulder. So we have one arm in, one arm out. I let go of the collar because I need both my hands to work. I'm gonna go cross grip on the sleeve, one hand behind the tricep. Since I have a 2-on-1, I'm always gonna be stronger than my partner. So I'm gonna lift my hips. That way she can only fight me with the shoulder. If her arm is bent, her arm is strong. When I lift my hips, her arm is straight, her arm is weak. Very easy for me to pass to the other side. Once I pass to the other side, I'm gonna crunch. I wall for triceps, so if she tries to pull her arm back, it's stuck. Free hand is gonna grab my shin. I open up my guard because I put a roof over my partner. I'm gonna put my foot here on the hip, and I'm gonna start adjusting. If I try to lock the triangle here, it's not gonna be tight enough. So foot goes to the hip, and I'm gonna adjust. I look down my shin like the side of a gun, throw my foot to the outside, always locking behind my ankle, making sure my toes are pointed up to the ceiling. Hands go to the back of the head, pinch my knees, shoot my hips, and pull down. And that's gonna be a very, very tight triangle. One more very important detail here, when we go for the triangle, is you wanna make sure that there's no space on the back of your kneecap here. If I lock a triangle and I can fit my fist through the side here, that's too much room for her to breathe. The back of my kneecap has to form a seal, and it has to be flush up against my partner's artery. So when I do this, I like to pretend that I'm Pac-Man, right? My leg is like Pac-Man, it's like chomping down, kind of looks like it's biting, and I pretend her head is the little white dot. So when I grab my shin, what I do is I open up my triangle, and I'm gonna chomp, okay? When I do this chomping motion, it's gonna make sure that the back of your kneecap is always flush to that artery, and it's gonna give you a much better choke. So I'm here, I'm chomping, I'm hip escaping, I'm chomping, and that makes everything tight. So even if I'm here, like you can finish it even with one leg. You don't need this second leg to finish the triangle, that's just a bonus. 90% of the choke is this first leg, so come this way just to angle it so they can see. So you'll see I'm gonna chomp like Pac-Man. If I go like this, I just start to squeeze. See how she starts coughing and choking? Because my leg is like flush. It's like perfect on her artery. If I did this, look, it's too loose. If I locked from here, look at that space. That's not choking anyone. But if I just come here and I do this, see, even with the one leg, she's choking. So if I add the second part, it makes it much, much tighter. And there's your triangle. In this video, we put a couple little sequences together. They're a little more advanced. If you guys are interested in it, we can also break those down for you too. We just wanted to keep it like really basic today because, you know, I can go on forever about jiu-jitsu and, you know, all the details and stuff that, you know, we've memorized in our hard years of training. But we're here just a few sequences. We have triangle basically from collar sleeve. We have triangle from the overhook. We have a triangle from the lasso. You know, just different positions, different setups. You know, like I said, the triangle is really always going to be the same. The core concepts and components are always the same, but the setups are what change, and the setups are what makes it, you know, effective. Also, I think we threw something in there. If they do hide the arm and you're not able to cross it, you can just go for a reverse triangle instead of going for the omoplata. Like I said, we have lots of different details. Let us know what you guys like to see, and we'll break it down for you.
Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed our video. If you'd like to see more, don't forget to comment below any positions you want to see.
And don't forget to tap that subscribe button.
Bye guys, see you on the mats next week.
Os!